Hello, my friends. Almost like that old show where they said on Animaniacs, hello, nurse. How you doing? Yes, yes, yes. We are back to the Gunn Show. And I'm with my buddy, Bryan Bannister. This is the Gunn Show. First, I want to thank you, all of you who are tuning in again, who have tuned in before. And please continue to tune in because we love you. You're amazing. You know what the story's about. You know what the Gunn Show's about. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, you're lucky people to be here with Bryan, but also let me help you know what's going on because I think that's important. And sometimes the words "the Gunn Show" can be a bit misconceived. Yeah, we can and sometimes do talk about guns, but it's not always about guns. I don't even own any guns. It's definitely not about muscles because although Bryan has those, I don't have any. This is literally the Gunn Show. My last name, Tony Gunn. So thank you for being here. And what we're trying to do is create a humanness and a complete authenticity to the world of manufacturing and engineering. As you guys know, there are so many products out there that we're all using. Everything from the medical devices that the doctors are utilizing, to the planes we fly in, to the cars, to the phones, to the computers. I mean, you name it, the engineers and manufacturers were producing it, right? And as the stigma goes, a lot of these amazing, humble, brilliant folks are introverted and don't like to share. So guess what? I have the great honor and privilege, and I am humbled every day to speak with some of these brilliant people that teach me something new every day. Bryan is absolutely one of the people that I get to learn from, although he's quite outspoken, which make my job easy today. So, Bryan, thank you so much for being a part of the Gunn Show, and welcome, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Bryan, so let's learn a little bit about you. For everyone who doesn't know, Mr. Bryan Bannister is OEM Manager at Rego-Fix USA. Really a good dude. Has been in the industry for quite a while. Has some great history to go along with the industry as well. So, Bryan, if you wouldn't mind, what were your days like when you were in Pampers? No, I'm just kidding. We don't have to go back that far. But let's learn a little bit about you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was a California-born kid that grew up in Wisconsin. So, as I've been told, I tend to talk fast, and I got a little bit of that Wisconsin accent. Yeah, so quite an interesting combination. But yeah. So originally from Southern California, but grew up in Milwaukee, the greater Milwaukee area, Wisconsin. So pretty much Midwestern personality and who I am. That Midwestern nice, as we like to say.
It's a thing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I mean that's where I grew up. And then I guess kind of growing up, I was sports is a big part of my life growing up. Actually, kind of surprising for a lot of people. I started playing hockey when I was 4 years old in California. So. Wow. Yep. And then moved to the Midwest, and then, family didn't have a lot of money. Mom and stepdad were, kind of struggled to get by. So hockey was an expensive sport. So eventually moved on to other sports. But so sports is always a big part of my life growing up. Kept me with a focus too when I would start to get in trouble as I got a little bit older. So my family, we tend to be, I hate to say it, but kind of rebels at times. We if everybody's telling you should do this, we question it. And
I feel you there, brother. I do.
Yeah. Yep. So, which is actually kind of how I ended up getting into this because in high school, I grew up with a learning disability. Math was the only subject I was good at. I struggled at spelling. I struggled at grammar. So those were always subjects I had to work extra hard in. Math was always my easy subject. I literally could skip class and show up for the test and ace the test in math, but everything else, if I didn't do the homework, I was getting an F in that class. So anyways, worked hard. I'm that kid coming out of high school in the 90s, and that our generation they were going through that time frame where administration was getting rid of shop class, getting rid of metals and automotive and woodworking, because it's dirty industry, and we want everybody to go to college, and everybody, it doesn't really matter what you're going to college for, but everybody needs to go to college because that's the nice, the fancier thing to show.
It's how you're going to have a good life. You must do it.
Yeah, exactly. And for myself, actually, so I had two things. One was, with struggling with some parts of school, I didn't think I was smart enough with college, which isn't true. Found out later on, but that and my parents not having much money, I didn't really have a way to pay for college. And like I said, kind of liking to be a rebel with everybody saying, "Oh, you need to go to college." I was like, "Well, no, I don't. I'm going to do a trade. I'm going to do something where I'm still using my brain, but I'm working with my hands. I don't want to sit at a computer all day." And then so I started kind of looking at what I'm good at, what I could do to make a good living in life. And this owner of a tool and die shop came in one day to our metals class and kind of gave a presentation on the fact that tool and die makers are a dying breed, and you can make good money being a tool and die maker, and he needs more guys. And so I looked at that. I was originally thinking about becoming an electrician, but this shop owner came in and talked to us. I like what he had to say. And my school offered a youth apprenticeship. And so I was like, all right. And so I started serving a youth apprenticeship in high school and working in the shop, and, start out the basics, sweeping the floors and cleaning the machines, and slowly started getting and got taught how to file the edges of a block of steel. And, I had an old school mentor that, great guy, kind of almost became a father figure for me. But at the time, gave me a hard time, right? I go and file it, and, oh no, you can see the file marks, and that, go do it again. And, I literally spend hours filing chamfers on a block of steel. And then, sleeping up. And part of it was, they're looking to see my work ethic and my attitude. And then, and how I was in terms of just, I guess you'd say, keep my mouth shut and learning. And and then eventually, we got onto the real stuff, and, learned how to run a lathe in the mill, and and all the basics of being a tool maker. And so that was kind of like how I got into it. The other nice thing too was, being a high school kid, I played football and wrestled, and they liked that. They're like, yeah, we want you to get out of work in time to get the practice, and we still want you to be a kid and enjoy high school, and then, bust your butt when you're here.
You're big into wrestling now too, to this day,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. So besides, metalworking in this industry, which is, been my life since I was 16, 17 years old. The other part is wrestling now. I actually, it's funny, like I said, I grew up playing all types of sports. I played everything: baseball, soccer, hockey. And I was playing football, sucked at it. I was not good. I'm not fast, can't catch. Slow. I'm not athletic like that, but I love football. And a couple guys in the football team wrestled, and they're trying to get me to come off wrestling. I'm like, oh, that's a dumb sport. These guys are, rolling around on a mat, right? Like a lot of people that don't know wrestling think. And one day, my teammates like, hey, our practices are 10 times harder than football practice. Like, you want to get stronger, you want to get better, you want to be in better shape, come out for wrestling. So they talked me into it, came out, turned out I was actually pretty good at it, made varsity the first year, and just fell in love with the sport, fell in love with the fact that, I step on that mat, and if I lose, it's because of me. It's not because of my wide receiver dropping a ball or the guy next to me, missing a block or something like that. It's because of the work I didn't put into it. At the same token, I win my match, I'm scoring points for our team to still win a duel. So I really love that. You couldn't blame somebody, you couldn't point fingers. It's that self accountability. So yeah, I just fell in love with it. Plus the other thing too was I did enjoy, there's a part of me, I had like to get in trouble a little bit back in the day, and had a little bit of, temper, anger maybe at times. And I step on a wrestling mat, and I hate to say it, but, beating up somebody is kind of feels good sometimes. And at the same token, getting your butt beat once in a while kind of self-checks you, and it keeps you humble at the same time. And, you really learn. You want to learn a lot. You learn, besides the hard work, you learn that you can't just judge somebody by the way they look. Somebody looks a certain way, it doesn't mean anything. You can get your butt kicked by someone smaller than you, bigger than you, someone that doesn't look that muscular. It all just comes down to, what training they had and who they are. But anyway, so yeah, so fell in love with wrestling. Did it the rest of my high school years. And then shortly after I graduated, I came back and I started coaching. And I spent many years coaching at the youth club level, building youth clubs, middle school level, being a head middle school coach, and then assistant high school coach for many, many years. Built a couple of different programs in the Milwaukee area up, put a lot of work into it. A lot of those kids I coached back then are now in their 20s and young adults, and still friends with a lot of those guys. And it's great to see them like grow up from who they were before. And a lot of them are getting married now, so I get to go to all their weddings and see that. But anyways, about almost 10 years ago, a friend of mine who was a head college coach, I'd bring him in for summer camps. He reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to come coach with him at the college level. And I first told him, I said, well, you know, I've never wrestled in college, and pretty much every college coach has wrestled in college. And he told me, he said, well, I know you, I know your abilities and your knowledge of wrestling, and you know, I need another assistant, and I would love you to join our staff. And so I did that, loved it. And I still, to this day, I still help out UW Parkside. It's a D2 program in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Been volunteering there the last couple of years. These last 2 years have been a little more difficult with COVID, you know, with my travel and sales. So still help out the program. We got a new head coach there. He was a great kid. He was 89-0 in college, 3-time national champ for us. Nick Becker. He's the fourth brother of 3 older ones that all wrestled at Parkside, and we're all Americans and national champs. I mean, great family. But so still helping out as much as I can. Obviously, you know, with all the travel I do with this job, I'm always gone. I've been on the road the last 3 weeks in a row, so I can't really be in the wrestling room wrestling the guys and being that active, unfortunately. But you know, we make the sacrifices we do. I still help out when I can. So, and I mean, it's just a passion I have. Wrestling did a lot for me, keeping my head on straight in high school and giving me focus in life. And so as much as I can, I help out. And, you know, just actually right now we've got a campaign going on, putting some money, redoing the athletic facilities there. So we got a whole Ranger Forward campaign going on, and just trying to help raise money for that with local corporations and contacts I have, and kind of building that. And then eventually we got plans to get develop our booster program and get some more things going there to help kind of fund the training our guys do and the traveling they do, and especially for the guys that want to do international wrestling. So yeah, a lot of stuff, a lot of that I still work out and help out with as much as I can, even with my full-time job and having a child. But
yeah, congratulations. 3 things. Congratulations on that college opportunity. You do kind of look like a badass, if I'm not going to lie. If I'm stepping on a mat, I'm going to be almost immediately intimidated, because you look like you could wrestle pretty significantly. And then thirdly, the thing that stuck out during that entire conversation, and it just resonated fully, was accountability. And I really like that. And you're right. And sports as a whole can kind of do that, because your teams can hold you to that accountability. They can hold you to a standard where you must, you know, respect one another, and just to be redundant again, be held accountable for mistakes, but also successes as well, and applauded for that. And in wrestling, to your point, and I see it also in places like golf and tennis, any one-on-one singular type of competition, it is just you. And accountability is something that I would imagine, and don't let me speak for you, but I'd imagine has really benefited you in your business world as well, and helped you, you know, kind of propel yourself in the world of engineering and manufacturing to a successful level, based on the fact that I know you, and you hold yourself accountable for all the good and the bad, and create the successes or any downturns that might happen. You look yourself in the mirror, I know you do, and you go, that's on me. And you also go look in the mirror and go, congratulations, you did a great job. You know what I mean? Like, you're the type of person I know does that. And that probably resonates a lot from that childhood person. If it's okay with you, Bryan, I'd like to do something super quick and just kind of run through your history. And if anything has changed, let me know. But journeyman toolmaker, P&H mining equipment, production supervisor, manufacturing engineer, GE Power, gear manufacturing engineer, technical sales engineer at Seco Tools for almost 7 years. But now you're at Rego-Fix. Now, being at Rego, I mean, the world knows this high quality, Swiss collet, arguably or discussionably the best in the world, certainly the original. But you have a really nice resume, which brings knowledge as a whole over to Rego. And you're fairly young at Rego, but you're already making ripples and bring great value to the team. I know that to be true, working with you personally. What do you think this journey of working with these different companies from different perspectives and different thought processes and ideas has brought to you as a whole now that you're with Rego?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say, first of all, my path is a little bit less traditional nowadays. I mean, serving an apprenticeship as a tool maker, that's something that's not as common as it used to be. As I said before, I started in high school, and then after high school, they offered me a full state indentured apprenticeship, which I appreciate. I learned so much from it, and then went back to college and got my degree just because I wanted to keep growing and learning and have more opportunities. But I mean, it's a lot of stuff. I have, it's funny. My career is taking me in a lot of different ways. Like I used to always, oh, I don't want to do sales. I'm that guy that wants to, work hard every day. So you get this image of sales. And then as I get older and talk more, one thing I've always had an open mind, no matter what I did or didn't think, I was always willing to be proven wrong or see things in another light. And I had a couple good, so first of all, when I was in the shop, doing your typical, I was manufacturing engineer eventually, and, working on processes, cutting parameters, process improvements, a lot of lean stuff. So I became, did a lot of lean events, learned that whole process. When I was at Caterpillar, I was a Green Belt Six Sigma certified. So got all that, worked on the operations side of the business. And I developed some relationships with two of my technical specialists that would call on me from two cutting tool companies there are two guys I gained a lot of respect for, and they're very technical, very smart. And, they broke that original idea that I had when I was in my mid 20s that these sales guys are just sales guys. They don't know anything. And yeah. And, because in other industries, that's what sales guys are. In our industry, a lot of them, especially the good ones, aren't. You have to know speeds and feeds and chip thinning and stuff like that in order to be successful. Because us guys in the shop, we were going to tell you to take a hike. Anyways, so two of the guys I became friends with and developed a relationship with that started out just calling on me, selling cutting tools. They helped me out quite a bit. I actually learned a lot from them in my early days, my 20s. And kind of realized, all right, these guys aren't just sales guys, they're technical. So I started asking them about their background, and they all started in the shop as well too, and kind of like me, and were either machinists or a tool maker. And then and I talked to them about their job, and they loved it. They loved the sales, they loved the flexibility, and so it led me into eventually saying, you know what, actually maybe I actually want to get into sales more, and I love it now because not every day I'm not working on processes and speeds and feeds, especially now as a North American OEM manager. But all that I've learned in the past helps me for what I do today. It helps me understand when customers are having problems and why our tools and our holders can help their applications. It also helps it too, where my background and the fact that I have a vast background in machining, tool and die, gear manufacturing, gear cutting, stuff like that, hard milling, across the gambit, it makes it so when we have an opportunity or a customer with issues, I know what they're talking about and I can relate to what they're doing. And that's the same token, still learn, and also sometimes hopefully help them learn on things that I learned in the past. So it's, and then the same token too, with my background, I've worked for major corporations, Caterpillar, P&H Mining, which is the old Harnsteger, Joy Global. They're now owned by Komatsu. But GE, Rex, Nord. I mean, I worked for major corporations, saw how they ran their business. Worked for Seco and global Swedish company, and got to see different corporations, how they ran their business. Their ethics, their policies. Learned a lot. Learned about what I did and didn't like in terms of running a business. And it's part of the reason. And first of all, I'm not saying anything bad about those previous employers. Loved them all. Still do business, a lot of them. Very appreciative of all my past roles. It made me who I am today. But it kind of developed a lot of the philosophies that I have now. And being part of Rego and on the management team for North America here, it's part of the reason why I wanted to join Rego. You know, family-owned company, global company, but still family-owned. Have that family values, very good ethics. I mean, the first interview I had with my boss and our national sales manager, I just, even though, you know, COVID time over Zoom, I just knew these people are my kind of people, you know, in terms of who they are at heart, their ethics, how they care about people, how they want to treat people. And I could just feel that right away. And that's part of the reason why, you know, Jeff, our national sales manager, Bill, our North and South American GM, every time we talk business and policy and what we want to do, we're pretty much always on the same page. And we just, you know, we click very well as to this is how we want to go to market. This is how we want to treat our customers. This is how we want to treat our employees. And that's what I love about it. So, and yet at the same token, we're still a global company. We, you know, our product's still a market leader. We're high quality products sold across the world. And, but yet we have, you know, the three brothers, their founding father running the business, and they're great people and some great Christian core values they have, and just love it.
You know, back in my younger days, in my early job shop days, I've only ever used ER collets, but I didn't used to call them that. I just used to call them Regos. Can you just, hey, hand me the Rego 3/4 inch, hand me the Rego 1/2 inch, because in my head, that's all there was. You know, at that time, I was still had a lot to learn, of course, and but that shows to go you just how significant Rego is on a global level. It's the brand, it's known. But you mentioned something that I also wanted to bring up. Internationally family owned and operated in second generation. Like, who doesn't love that part, right? Like getting to work with those type of people. And you touched on that already, so we don't need to reiterate that. But let's talk a little bit about the products themselves. I know that you spend a lot of time with OEMs, and you will support them at trade shows, at their facility. If they want you to do something in-house, if they want to do some partnering to put a machine in your showroom, which you have a nice quality showroom. I've seen robots there. I know you have a Herco there, continually growing and expanding. But let's talk a little bit about just kind of some of the products, maybe some of the newer ones. The Power Grip, in my opinion, is an exceptional product worth talking about. So let's talk about some of those and the high quality that comes along with it.
Yeah. So first of all, kind of like you, like growing up, when I bought ER collets, I bought Rego-Fix collets. I just, you know, they had, one at the time, I didn't realize that they were the inventor of the Rego collet. I didn't know all the history. I just knew they were top quality. They're a good quality collet, never had an issue. And so, you know, I always wanted to buy quality stuff. It's kind of like when I was an apprentice and I was buying my micrometers, and I bought Starrett because I was one of the, you know, top quality name brand micrometers. Anyways, but yeah, so Rego, I mean, it's one thing I love. So we still manufacture everything in-house in our warehouse, in our factory in Switzerland, which is awesome. I mean, a lot of companies too, as you know, they have success and time goes on and they want to increase profits, they'll try to cut corners or you know, maybe move operations to other factories. And with Rego, and I think it's part of it with the fact that being family owned still, we keep that all in-house. We keep that very like you say, locked down in terms of our processes and making sure that we have that high quality that we're known for, which I love. And in fact, after I got hired, I mean, like I said, I never really researched it that much, but after I got hired and kind of learned more about the product and kind of saw our product compared to other product and why ours is number one and the best, it just made me more proud about it and kind of understanding the meticulous we take it, and especially me being a tool maker by trade and understanding quality net and seeing how we manufacture our collets and why they're so good. It just makes me more proud of it. But so I mean, those haven't missed a beat. We continue to improve that. And then the Power Grip, I'll be honest, I'm kind of embarrassed about it, but and maybe it's just the Wisconsin market I was in, but I was not familiar with Power Grip. And in fact, when I was looking at joining the company, I started talking to some of my distributors and my metalworking specialists that I worked with and friends like, hey, have you ever heard of this power grip system? And everybody was like, yeah, the thing rocks. It's awesome. And so I started looking at more. I mean, I used to sell, all good stuff with other systems, shrink fit and welding holders and hydraulic and milling chucks and and they're all good and they all have their purpose and the right applications and hydraulic holders. And and part of the reason probably with the power grip was the fact that Rego still has a patent on it, so we're the only ones that can make this system. And working for Seco and other shops, we couldn't sell this system, so wasn't that familiar with it. But anyways, so when I started learning more about it and our press fit system and the capabilities we have are the 3-micron run out and our vibration dampening that it has, just unbelievable. And I'm always about having the best products and as a toolmaker by trade, using the best products. So I just love it, and we continue to add to that and add to the capabilities of it. We just released some new sealed collets in there that are kind of targeted for the silica and grinding industry because they have that real fine dust. And with our traditional collets, you can still get some of that into the slots. So we now have a new one that's sealed once it's assembled. So we're always getting into newer industries too, industries that I'm actually not that familiar with, which makes it exciting because I'm learning about stuff that I don't know. And as much as I think I do know a lot, I also know I don't know a lot. So anyways. And
you remember when we were 20 and we knew everything?
Yeah. Well, I will say I had a good mentor that would kind of beat on me anytime I got a little cocky, as you would say, and would show me that I was still a dumb kid. So I was given a lot of reminders growing up to be humble, I guess you could say, or have an open mind to learn. So, anyways,
yeah, I apologize for interrupting. I just had to throw that in.
Oh, no worries. So, as people know, I have no problem talking unless I'm comfortable. But so you can credit my mom for that. But anyways, so yeah, I mean, the power grip system is awesome. The system's getting more and more popular every year, which is great, and everybody loves it. And the nice thing about it, there's still so many people out there that haven't been exposed to it. So that's the exciting thing. And the capabilities it has in terms of improving service finish and tool life is just exciting. And then on top of that, I mean, I'm always the type that, that competitive side of me, I always want to expand. I want to win. I want to get bigger and better. And us as a company, we're doing that. And this next year, we got new products that we're launching that I'm excited about because it's going to open up. It's a little bit different area for us. It's still manufacturing, of course, and machining. And I can't talk about EX's not released, but releasing some new products and it's exciting because it'll give us some more capabilities, give us some more exposure. And I like that. I like the fact that our executive board in Switzerland doesn't want to just stay in our little box, but continue to grow as a company and increase our capabilities to the industry, and still have that Rego-Fix top quality reputation that we have. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, I agree. And for the listeners out there, I'm going to do something super quick. From the outside looking in and being, representative of MTD and having the time that I got to spend with you and with your team, in quick summary of what the power grip does, in my opinion, just super quick. And there's so many more details that Bryan and the rest of the great team over at Rego will explain far better than me. But just a quick summary, in my opinion, is it gives you tighter tolerances in less than 7 seconds with something that's fully automated. You push a button and it's done, and your tool goes in and your tool gets popped out. And it really is that simple with ER collets. And there's a portable system and there's a more or less a desktop system that you could physically move, because I know Bryan has one in his car. But it really is one of those things. You need tighter tolerances, great. So we all do. Everything's in the industry is getting tighter and smaller and all that kind of stuff. Well, great. You know what? You can do it in 7 seconds with a push of a button, and it's getting ready to come out with automation as well, which is even better. So I just wanted to summarize that real quick. The other thing I wanted to bring up, Bryan, is knowing that I've been to your facility, you mentioned that everything quality-wise is still made in Switzerland, which is important to emphasize, because there are people out there who are like, well, I need, my manufacturing to be done in a more local area so that I can supply my customers with shorter lead times. So sometimes that quality goes down. And in fact, sometimes in some countries, I know that they purposely will sacrifice quality because it doesn't matter as much to that country that they're working in, whereas Rego doesn't do that. And with that being said, I know walking through your warehouse, and you can say the exact number, but it's somewhere like 99% of all the products are in-house right now. So those shipping issues that some other places might have, Rego has figured out how to still support, almost feels local, even though the quality and manufacturing is still being done in Switzerland. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, that's actually one thing I love is about our company is we don't have any delivery issues, especially right now. There's a lot that's really a big common problem, especially people, numerous reasons, COVID, labor, raw material sourcing, and we do not have those problems. And it's a breath of fresh air, I guess you'd say. So first of all, our warehouse just outside Indianapolis, Indiana, we have about 98% of everything in our catalog is stocked there. And so when you order something, you'll get it next day, 2 days at most, depending on where in the US you are. I mean, usually next day. And that's crazy. I mean, it's awesome. It's but it's almost like we're Amazon. I don't know if that sounds bad or good, but anyways. And then on top of that, then we have everything stocked in our warehouse in Switzerland. So really the only time a customer will have to wait a few days will be if, we get tons of orders for the same thing. Obviously, we have everything stocked, but we only have so many stocked on the shelf, 5 pieces or 10 pieces, depending on what it is. So yeah, if we get a customer all of a sudden says, hey, I need to order 100 different tools. And then we get another customer calling us up and having, and they need to order a bunch of tools. And then all of a sudden, tons of people need an ER25 half-inch collet, well, we only have something on the shelf. Nice thing though. All right. So some of you guys will get yours the next day, within a week. The rest of you guys will get your order. So it's still going to be fast delivery. And those situations happen very minimum. It's just pure coincidence. But otherwise, yeah, everything's right away. And that's awesome. And part of that too is, back in January, we went to full 3 shifts at our factory in Switzerland. And the owners, and executive management looked at it and said, hey, we're slowly coming out of this pandemic. We're healthy over here. Numbers are looking decent over here. Let's get everybody back to work. Let's do it safely. Let's start making product. Even though the demand's not back yet, it's going to come back, and let's be prepared so we can deliver when it comes back. And, and that's something I like because, some customers or companies would wait a little bit longer, wanting to kind of, limit their profit losses due to the pandemic or, increase their profits, and wait for sure because they don't know exactly when. And our management in Switzerland said, no, we know it will come back. We don't know if it's going to come back in February, March, but it's coming back. So let's start getting everybody back to work and let's make sure everything's stocked and ready to go.
Yeah. You guys have done an amazing job, and I felt very honored when I got to go through there. I feel grateful to be able to call you a friend and have you on the podcast as well. And then the reason I'm fluffing you up a little bit is because I'm getting ready to do something to you that I didn't warn you about, but I've had a lot of fun doing it to some of my other guests, although it's fairly new. So even if you've listened to the other podcasts, this is a new thing and it's fun. Don't get me wrong, but it is completely random, switching gears just to get to know your personality and for fun. And then we'll close out with a piece of advice at the end. But I have random questions here, and I'm just going to pick a couple of them. And you just say the first thing that comes to your mind. Or if you really want to complicate things, you can think about it a little bit. Yeah. So based on what you were telling me with, when you were younger, you kind of got in trouble. Don't tell me what to do. I'm a wrestler. I liked football. I wasn't good at it. So I have this random question for you, Bryan. Would you rather fight 1 horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
That's a good question. Horse-sized duck. I'd probably say fight the 1.
I agree with you. It's really random, really. So this just kind of, again, just back to humanizing everyone and getting this random thoughts involved. I got another one for you. If you could have a machine that produced $100 for life, how much would you be willing to pay for it?
See, now here's what was my return on investment and $100 for life. What do you mean in terms of like in continuous, or what's the output of this machine?
Well, it's a random question that just says that, so I'm going to put limitations on it. Let's say it puts out $100 per hour every day of life. So every hour you get another $100 bill that pops out.
Okay. I would pay $50 an hour for it.
There you go. That's completely mathematically sensible, which I wouldn't expect anything less. That's awesome. All right, you ready? This will be the last one, and then we'll go on to the advice and get back to the seriousness of the fun of the Gunn Show. Yeah. So this is the last one. If you could only choose one song to play every time you walked into the room for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh man, music's of something that speaks near and dear to my heart. I love music. I'm always playing it. That is a hard question.
This is your theme song every time you walk into a room.
Oh man, that could be trouble.
Kind of a cool question though, isn't it?
Yeah, I would have to say, I go with the classical. Let's go a little Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven.
Hey, I like that. I think that's a good choice. Very well done. So just so you guys know who are listening, I kind of prep everyone. We are not robotic and we don't have written down questions. It's very authentic conversations. But as of late, I've kind of been messing with all of my friends who join me and popping up these fun questions. Bryan, you did an awesome job. But what I like to do at the end of this show is kind of just close out with a piece of advice. And that advice can go to humanity as a whole or the industry. A lot of times people will kind of jump onto, people who want to get into the industry. Why would they want to do it? People who want to improve in the industry, people who are stagnant in the industry and need inspiration, or just generally some advice for people out there who might be struggling or having a beautiful day or whatever it might be.
Advice. So I would say my big advice is to always have an open mind. I think a lot of why I am who I am, and even with struggles I went through when I was younger and growing up and setbacks and disadvantages I had, I am where I am now, and I'm successful because of having an open mind. Now, doesn't mean be stupid and believe everything you hear, but be willing, be humble enough to realize that you may be wrong. And instead of being defensive about it and take a step back and learn from it and make yourself better. I think people that do that are the most successful people and have the most to eventually give to other people and teach other people. And people that are too afraid to be wrong are the ones that stay in their holding pattern for the rest of their life and eventually become obsolete.
I love it, Bryan, and very, very good advice. There are a lot of blinders right now. A lot of people kind of burying their feet in the sand and not wanting to budge and draw a line on a lot of conversations and curiosities. So to me, that is perfect timing and great advice. Let's remove those blinders. Let's be open-minded. Let's be considerate of one another, considerate of conversations. Every single person we meet can be both a teacher and a student at exactly the same time, because we all have something to learn from each other and something to teach one another. So Bryan, thank you very, very much for taking time out of your incredibly busy schedule to be a part of the Gunn Show. I really, really do appreciate you. For all the listeners out there, thank you also for listening to the show. We appreciate you. Share with your friends, tell your folks, tell the crazy middle school kids and high school kids out there. We need to get them aware of what's going on to reduce this skills gap as well. We are all in this together. It is a symbiotic relationship. One last time, Bryan Bannister, Rego-Fix, you are incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony.